I'm in two minds about this kavanaugh sex chat issue. I haven't really followed it fully. I've seen snippets here and there, and my initial thoughts were with our look at people. You know, look, this is 36 years ago. You were 15, he was 17. I mean, that makes him a juvenile if that's the case. If he was 17 when supposedly this alleged attack occurred, both of you were very young. He was underage, and you were clearly underage at the age of 15, in a house. Apparently, um, you gathered with other kids. And children can gather and play games and all this kind of business, but we know, and everybody knows, that when kids gather, there's going to be certain, especially boys and girls of a youngish age, something is going to happen. Or certainly when I gathered with other kids, and there were other girls there, you'd see the other boys, you know, playing with the girls, and the girls giggling and laughing, and you know, all sorts of things were going on. The thing is, I would like to know. I haven't seen anything. What was she doing there? I mean, was she there as a sort of gathering? Her parents knew what she was doing, whether she was there. She told her parents where she was going, and she was going to this place to meet with her friends. That, and they all knew, their parents knew everybody else's parents, etc., etc. I mean, what was she doing there at that age? Don't get me wrong. Everybody, you go to your friend's house. You meet up with your friends. You have a laugh and a joke. And as I said, sometimes you would go to the park and there'd be other girls there, and you'd meet, and you would, have a chat with the girls, and they would talk to you, talk back to them. Because all this very shy, especially when I was young, the girls didn't particularly like, or were a little bit frightened, of myself, because I was a young black boy living in the north, and in the 70s, 76, 77, well, I was 14, 15. You'd go out and you'd play, you stay out. Those days, although the place that I used to stay, we did have a telephone. So, you know, um, I was given the authority to do reverse call, just to let them know. If I was staying out longer, I would, do a reverse call, if I didn't have any money. But it was very cheap in those. I think it was like 2 pence a call, or was it 10p a call? But yeah, it used to be very cheap anyway. So I'd probably, if I didn't have any money, I would do a reverse call, or just put some money into the coin box and say, "Oh, hello, it's me. I'm staying out for an hour or two at my friend's. Is that okay?" And then, yes, no problems. Make sure you're back by. That means you'll be back by 11 o'clock. Yeah, yeah, whatever. And invariably, you turn up 15, 20 minutes, half an hour late. Bit of an argument, blah blah blah. But it's this is reminiscent of Anita Hill. Um, the same thing. These women are coming out of work to have their time, their 15 minutes of fame. And you see, the thing is, the Anita Hill that came out, I think, in 1991, 92. So this woman's left it to this time now, to get maximum exposure about something that happened 36 years ago. When she was 15, he was 17. So he was underage, if anything did happen. So surely he's classed as a minor, isn't he? In this. I don't know what went on. She's given her testimony. Let's read through. A woman has testified that the man nominated for a recent post on the US Supreme Court by Donald Trump carried out a sexual assault 36 years ago that dramatically affected her life. Christine Ford told the Senate Judiciary Committee that Brett Kavanaugh's attack on her had left her afraid and ashamed. Mr. Kavanaugh has denied allegations by Dr. Ford, along with those of a number of other women. We will get to those. He's also due to testify. The 9-member Supreme Court plays a vital role in US political life, as it has the final say on US law. This includes social issues such as abortion and challenges to government policy. President Trump has called the hearing an important day in the history of our country. Right, so no one has heard from this woman publicly since the allegations arose. After addresses by the leading Republican and Democrat members, Dr. Ford delivered her opening statement, at times close to tears. Oh, dear me. In her prepared testimony, Dr. Ford said, I am here today not because I want to be. I'm terrified. I'm here because I believe it is my civic duty to tell you what happened to me while Brett Kavanaugh and I were in high school. In high school. So both of them were in high school. She was 15, he was 17. Extraordinary. So he wasn't 18, he wasn't an adult. Because there are things that happen at school that kids do. Okay. And there are things that have happened at my school. And there are things that happen at everybody else's school. Why is that relevant? Because he was under the age of 18. Something did happen. She didn't report it to anybody. There was a lady who got raped by Clinton, allegedly got raped by Clinton. And the one thing she said, that one thing that women do, they always talk about their experiences amongst other women. They always tell them something's happened to them, this has happened to that. She said that she didn't say anything to anybody, no other female friends, because this is what women do. They always talk about the issues that have gone on. But she didn't speak to any of her friends that something had happened. Even that idiot, Lena Dunham, when she apparently had an encounter with a guy at university who happened to be a Republican who she apparently didn't like that much, but she decided to have sex with anyway. And she sort of said, I think she said she didn't enjoy it, or she enjoyed it, or she wasn't sure. She was a bit confused. And then when she described it to her friend, who wasn't there, her friend stated, you have been raped. So she wrote her stupid, dumbass book with supposedly a completely different, to supposedly deliberately on purpose, but not inform everybody of who this was by not giving his real name, but using so-called somebody else's name. but everybody in the university who knew exactly who she was talking about. This kind of nonsense. This is the mentality of the bloody feminists. This is feminism that is occurring here. Men, you've got to start growing up. You are living in dangerous times. In the West, you're living in dangerous times. You have to be careful. Seriously. I'm not saying that anyone who does something that's abhorrent to a woman or a girl or a female, I'm not talking about that. But there are things that you could be accused of. That idiot girl, the mattress girl, for instance, saying that something had happened between her and the guy she was going at. And even when he's produced Facebook pages, I think it is, of showing her, when the event had happened, that she was, stating that she, when are you going to come around again? I miss you, and this and that, all this kind of business. I mean, look at that, the last case of the guy from the Walking Dead, when luckily he kept some of the text messages of what she had said after. He kept the text messages. She accused him of being this, I can't remember his name, Chris or something, Harding or something. And the ex-girlfriend had put out some nonsense tweet. And then it turned out he showed proof that there wasn't, he hadn't done anything to her, or it was just nonsense. He may have been controlling because, she was 25, I think she was. He was 40. People who are older will tend to be of a father figure, because come on, he was in his 40s, she's 25, so he may have been what she classes overbearing, didn't treat her equally as such, because even though she's 25 and he's 40, he would probably take decisions that he thought was best for her. I don't know. I wasn't in a relationship, but clearly he was vindicated. And yet, 25 members, The Walking Dead, that's it. 25 members of that staff walked out. Good riddance to you, bastards. Walk out and go about, find somewhere else. I'm just happy that he's back in that job, even though I never saw any of his programs. But the thing is, gentlemen, come on. We all know what the agenda is of the feminist movement. This consistent, there are no women at the top of industries or businesses. In the UK, we have the Prime Minister is a woman. The Chief Justice, I believe, of England or whatever it is a woman. The CBI now is a woman. The Home Secretary, I think, was a woman, although she's walked off, she resigned, was a woman. There are a number of prominent the Met Police, the head of Met Police, is a woman. And there's more and more industries where there are women in top places. The feminist movement wants to saturate and make sure that women take every single position at the top tables. These women have broken through the glass ceiling. Theresa May has shattered through this so-called mythical glass ceiling. But the feminist movement will never, ever, ever, ever be satisfied until they have got women in every single prominent position in the United States, in Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, across Europe. The feminist movement will not stop until all the prominent positions of power are owned and run by women. Will it be better? We don't know. We don't know. Because at the end of the day, all the roads, all the buildings may one day in the next 100 years all be built by autonomous beings, androids, which could be eventually part organic, part mechanic. They will build the streets, the buildings. So then it will become purely a knowledge-based society. But will women really win in a knowledge-based society against guys? There are some very intelligent women out there, some mathematicians that blow millions of guys out of the water. But there are some guys who are even more dynamic, quicker and faster in their calculations and things like that. There's a number of positions. I mean, the thing that I find a problem is that men are the perfect being. They don't have all the issues that women have, generally. I mean, we've got our own issues. For instance, prostate cancer is prominent amongst men. In the United Kingdom, the NHS published a result that the third biggest killer in the United Kingdom is no longer breast cancer. It was overtaken by prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is now the third biggest killer in the United Kingdom of men. But guess what? Breast cancer gets double the money for research and development. Double the money. Yet there are more men dying from prostate cancer than breast cancer. The NHS is dominated by women. I don't know what, is it 70, 80, 85%? That's huge. Or more. Huge. The university, 60% of women go to universities. The fact that a lot of them are just literally learning rubbish, gender studies, psychology, things. I mean, not psychology used, but it's all soft subjects. All soft subjects. Extraordinary. They say that the future is female. But will that be a future where we are technologically advanced by millions of years? Or will we go back, regress, backwards? Because I just don't see it. I don't see how the future is female. Other than they are going to be in charge of literally every single high position in the Western world. Oh, sorry, and I forgot to say the Queen is the head of the royal family, another female. So this is a situation where we've got with this, it seems to always happen. Supreme Court women come out of the woodwork with their grievances. So she alleged Mr. Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge had locked her in a bedroom during a small gathering at a house in a Washington, D.C. suburb in the summer of 1982. She said Mr. Kavanaugh had tried to remove her clothing, pinned her to a bed, and groped her when she was 15 and he was 17. Both men were drunkenly laughing, she said. She added, Brett's assault on me dramatically altered my life. For a long time, very long time, I was afraid and ashamed to tell anyone the details. But why? If you were massively assaulted in that way, you should have told your parents. I mean, okay, there could be. I mean, I don't know what position Kavanaugh is. I don't know his family. Um, what position they were. I don't know what her position is. But, and I suppose the reason why she's coming out now is that she will have that protection. Everybody in the world knows what's going on. So anyone tries to do anything stupid to knock her off, then it's going to be a bit of a problem. I don't know. Maybe that was the reason why she didn't say anything, because maybe their family was more powerful, and so she couldn't say anything. And so, if that's the case, fine. I understand. It's understandable. Um, Under questioning by a Democratic senator, she said her most vivid memory was the laughter between the two, and their having fun at my expense. They were laughing with each other, two friends having a really good time with one another. In an answer to another Democratic senator's question about claims of mistaken identity, Dr. Ford said she was 100% certain it was Mr. Kavanaugh who had assaulted her. 15 years of age, do I know any of my friends from school? I'm telling you now. But then I suppose something like that would be imprinted on your head if you've been assaulted in that way. Um, but I'm just trying to think. I cannot remember any of my friends from school at the age of 15. I only recently found people. I remember their names from Facebook, but before that, I couldn't remember anybody. I couldn't remember. But when I saw oh yeah, I know you, I know you, I know you, saw their names, came back straight away. But maybe. The 21 senators on the committee were given 5 minutes each to ask her questions. The 10 Democrats posted questions themselves, many paying tribute to Dr. Ford's bravery in coming forward and supporting her call for an investigation into her allegations. The 11 Republicans, geezers, but geezers, all men. That's why I'm a Republican. That's why I'm a conservative. Deferred most of their questions to a female lawyer, Phoenix prosecutor Rachel Mitchell. Is this 10 Democrats were able to ask the questions directly to her, but most of the 11 Republicans, all men, were obliged, or it seemed, to pass their questions through a female lawyer. Mr. Kavanaugh, 53, is due to deliver his statement after a recess, and the same round of questioning will follow. Okay. So he's completely denied it, any allegations against him. The written testimony suggests Mr. Kavanaugh will not try to portray himself as a saint. He will say, I was not perfect in those days. Who was? Just as I'm not perfect today. Exactly. I drank beer with my friends, usually at weekends. Sometimes I had too many. Exactly. Many of us did. But he also said that what he has been accused of is far more serious than juvenile behaviour. So there are other allegations. So, yes. And new ones appeared as the hearing loomed. At present, there are Dorothy Ramirez, the former Yale University classmate, has said Mr. Kavanaugh once exposed himself to her at a dormitory party in the 80s. She alleges the incident occurred during a drunken game and remembers Mr. Kavanaugh standing to her right and laughing, pulling up his trousers. Yeah, probably did happen. I mean, many girls played games like poker, strip poker, taking off their clothing, sometimes rolling their tits into guys' faces, all sorts of things. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, it was games. They were in a dormitory and they were in a party. Nobody can really dismiss, but these things happen. So now what's going to happen in the future? And you must, men, if you've got sons, you've got to teach them these dormitories, parties, you've got to be very careful, or just don't go to them. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, go to a club or something, you know, with a few friends or whatever, where there are other people who may not be your friends, but, you know, people that know. But if you, these dormitory places seem to be more and more and more occurring with women, young girls. Okay. And I think young men need to be taught. Don't go to them. Stay away. Or have a few beers amongst your friends. You got, you know, get a couple of guys, you know, watch films, play some computer games, whatever. Guys can do that. It's not a problem. You can have a laugh and a joke, you know. When you're a young man, you are desperate for the currency of the pussy. That's the problem. And I tell you this now, I'm going to be very honest with you. I am looking forward to the day that we can get an autonomous android like you see in Blade Runner. Like you see in Blade Runner. There's a scene in the new, is it 2017 or, yeah, 2017, or the, you know, the latest Blade Runner, where I think the girl says, there was some, I think some android girls were with her. And then one of them suddenly said, oh, he's a Blade Runner. And they just, you know, got scared. And then the girl said, no, don't worry, it's fine, I can talk to him. They just went, they weren't going to hang about. And he's sitting there with this card in his hand, with a tree. And she's just talking to him. Eventually she says to him, because he was trying to come on to him. And he goes, I see, you don't like real girls. I thought that was very telling. I think that will be the future for men. When they can produce an autonomous droid that will look, feel like a real organic woman. And maybe, even maybe, harbour the eggs from an organic woman in an android. The man fertilizes that egg. The android either incubates to full term or takes it to a clinic, which will then incubate the egg to full term. And then once the baby's at full term and born, you go and pick up your child and you look after your child with the autonomous android who will look after that child and protect it, just like a real mother would. from any issues or any problems. That's, I believe, is going to be the future. It will be female, but it will be an android female. That will be the future. So, and then we've got this Julie Whitnick. I can't, Jesus Christ. A Washington, D.C. resident. In a sworn affidavit, she alleges Mr. Kavanaugh was involved in the drugging and sexual assault of girls at house parties in the 1980s. She says she was a victim of a gang rape in 1982 at a party attended by the judge. But she didn't say that he raped her. This was 1982, when he was 17. But she said he was there. He may have been there, but that doesn't mean that he raped her. What's that got to do with him? I mean, he could have been downstairs while she was being raped upstairs by these guys. Had nothing to physically do with it. And then anonymous, a woman sent a letter to a Colorado senator alleging her daughter, listen to this, alleging her daughter had witnessed Mr. Kavanaugh pushing a woman he was dating very aggressively and sexually against the wall in 1998. Okay, so where is that woman? So her daughter had apparently seen him doing something in 1988. Where is the woman who's supposed to have been assaulted? Has she not come forward yet? In his written testimony, he says, over the past few days, other false and uncorroborated accusations have been aired. There have been a frenzy to come up with something, anything, no matter how far-fetched or odious, that will block a vote on my nomination. These are last-minute smears, pure and simple. Now, what's Mr. Trump's stance? He has portrayed the events in political terms, accusing the Democrats trying to block the nomination. So, might Donald Trump consider withdrawing Mr. Kavanaugh? Well, Mr. Trump has repeatedly defended the judge's character, saying he is one of the highest quality people he has ever met. But the president on Wednesday did say he could withdraw the nomination if accusations against the judge were proven. Yeah, of course you're going to do that if it's proven. I mean, of course you're going to do that. He said, I can always be convinced if I thought he was guilty of something like this. Yes, sure. It's possible. I'll hear that. And I'll say, here, I'm changing my mind. I want to watch. So the Senate Judiciary Committee must vote on Mr. Kavanaugh's confirmation before it goes to the full Senate for a vote there. The committee is scheduled to vote on Friday, but its chairman, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, has left open the possibility of a further delay. All 10 Democrat senators on the committee have called on Donald Trump to immediately withdraw Mr. Kavanaugh's nomination. Of course they would. Of course they would. You know, that's the Democrats. They're evil bastards. Republicans want their nominee in place before midterm elections next month, when they could lose their 59 control of the Senate. Any confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh could also affect female voters in November, the confirmation of Supreme Court. Oh, here, the confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. That's his name. What would you give a Clarence? Wow. Clarence Thomas. Clarence. I suppose it's the same as Julius. Anyway, Clarence Thomas in 1991. That was in 1991. Despite allegations of sexual harassment, fueled the rise of a new generation of female politicians in elections the following year. Supreme Court judges are nominated by the President and hold the position for life. Mr. Kavanaugh's presence on the court could give it a more conservative character for decades. Okay, so that's why it's so sought after, so sought after. But the thing is, I've seen this woman, as she's talking, she's, it's, you find it difficult to believe that this is a 51-year-old woman. I mean, for the way she's talking, and yet she looks much older than 51, 60 odd, 65, 66. Easy. A young 65, 66. Looks really pasty there. Wow. Extraordinary. So that's my take on this. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Where am I? Here we go. Yeah. So that's my take on this Kavanaugh issue. He could be guilty. But I think there needs to be I think going forward, if the truth be told, I really do think there needs to be a time limit. But then I think they're just going to say, no. There's 50 years, 60 years. I mean, what is the time limit? I think it's got to be, I'm sorry, 35, 36 years, over 36 years. Come on. I think the time limit should be 10 years now. Going forward, all this nonsense, I think the maximum of 10 years. If it goes after that, it's void. Move on with your life. That's what it should be. Because it's not fair. It's better if something's happened. It's better for both parties, whoever's guilty or not or whatever. Get it done, get it out of the way, so that everybody can get on with their life, rather than having this kind of thing hang over someone's head, if it's true. So anyway, I've had my say, and thanks for listening.